The world of Downton Abbey has always been about more than a grand house and the family who lived in it. It was about change, about tradition, about love and heartbreak, about servants and masters bound together by loyalty and time. And now, as we step into the story of the grand finale, the curtain begins to fall on an era. What does the ending of Downton Abbey truly mean for the Crawley family and the world they represent? Downton Abbey began as a story of survival and heritage, and by the time we reach the third film, that theme only grows stronger. From the very first episode of the series, we watched the Crawley family wrestle with the world shifting around them. The Titanic had sunk, war was breaking old structures, and the class system that had defined their lives for centuries was fading away. The Abbey itself stood tall as a symbol of tradition, a place where generations of Crawleys had lived and loved. But inside those stone walls, the family and their staff were already struggling with what it meant to adapt. In the grand finale, this legacy becomes more than just a backdrop. It becomes a question: what will survive and what will pass away? When we see the family now, in the final act of their saga, we see a house that has held both joy and grief, and a family that has weathered storms together. Lord Grantham, who once believed firmly that things must never change, has come to accept that they always do. Lady Mary, once defiant and sharp, now holds the future of the Abbey in her hands. And the servants, whose lives were often lived in the shadows of the Crawleys, now stand as proof that their loyalty and hard work carried equal weight in the story of Downton. The finale paints all of this with a kind of bittersweet brush. Every character seems to be standing at a crossroads, and every decision feels like a step into the unknown. It is not only about endings, but about what endures. The Abbey itself becomes almost like a character, standing silently as generations come and go. Its windows have looked out on births, deaths, scandals, and triumphs, and now it must face a new chapter as well. And so the first section of the finale is about recognizing this long thread of history. For the Crawleys, legacy is not simply land and wealth. It is love passed from parent to child. It is duty. It is the memory of those who came before. As the story edges toward its close, viewers are reminded that every smile and every tear we have witnessed across the years has been building to this moment. The finale does not ignore the past. It embraces it, weaves it into every line and every look, until we feel the weight of the story pressing against our hearts. Every great story reaches a point where time itself feels heavy, where characters who once seemed untouched by the world begin to carry the marks of all they have lived through. In the grand finale of Downton Abbey, this moment arrives with quiet certainty. We step into a world that is no longer the glittering early 20th century of ballrooms and dinners lit by candlelight. The Abbey now rests in the middle of an age filled with automobiles, new voices in politics, and the fading echoes of an aristocracy that once seemed eternal. Change is not just coming, it is here, and the Crawleys, along with those who serve them, must face what that truly means. From the very first frames, the tone feels different. There is a softness, a stillness, as if the house itself knows that its story is reaching a close. Lord Grantham, once the firm voice of tradition, now walks with more reflection in his eyes. He has seen his family tested again and again, and though he still carries the dignity of his title, he is no longer a man fighting to hold the world in place. He has learned to let go, to see his children and grandchildren as the true future. His journey from stubborn protector to thoughtful elder becomes a mirror of Downton itself, an estate that must move forward even if it means letting go of old ways. Mary, on the other hand, has become the center. Once restless, once torn between duty and desire, she now stands firmly as the heir not just to land, but to the spirit of Downton. Her voice carries strength, and her choices feel final. She is no longer the young woman shadowed by loss and scandal. She is a leader who must keep the Abbey alive in a world that no longer needs it the way it once did. In her, we see the bridge between the world of the Crawleys and the modern age pushing at their door. Around her, the others find their own turning points. Edith, whose life has always been marked by struggle for acceptance and self-worth, now faces a moment of balance. She has both love and a career, both family and independence. And for once, the world does not demand that she sacrifice one for the other. Tom Branson, once the outsider, has long since become part of the family, and now stands as a living reminder that the Abbey itself has always had to bend and adapt to survive. His presence, both as son-in-law and as man of progress, gives the Crawleys something even greater than blood. It gives them continuity. And yet, the servants below stairs feel this change just as much as those above. Carson's pride may never fade, but his steps are slower now, and Mrs. Hughes sees the end of a chapter for them both. Anna and Bates, who fought so hard for their happiness, now look toward a future not of battles, but of peace. Even Daisy, once the kitchen maid who could not see beyond the Abbey walls, now has the courage to imagine life in her own hands. The setup of this final chapter is not filled with wild drama or loud declarations. Instead, it is filled with quiet power. Every glance, every line of dialogue, every gentle turn of the camera reminds us that we are walking with these characters toward something final, something permanent. It is the hush before the curtain falls, and in that hush we begin to understand. The story of Downton Abbey is not only about survival, it is about learning how to say goodbye. Every character in Downton Abbey carries with them a thread, and in the grand finale those threads finally weave into a finished pattern. Some stories close with triumph, some with quiet acceptance, but all with a sense of completion that makes the farewell feel whole. Lady Mary stands at the center of this tapestry. For years, her life has been a battle between heart and duty, between her own desires and the heavy weight of the Abbey's future. In the finale, she no longer resists what must be done. She embraces it. Her sharp words soften. Her decisions carry not just authority but grace. She has grown into the role she once feared, and in her final moments on screen, she becomes more than daughter or mother or widow. She becomes the true protector of Downton, not because tradition demands it, but because she chooses it. Lady Edith's resolution feels like the closing of a wound that has been open for too long. She was always the overlooked sister, the one left in the shadow of Mary's strength. Yet the finale refuses to leave her there. We see her standing tall, both as a woman of her time and as someone who has fought for her own place in the world. Her marriage, her child, her writing. All of these strands come together to show a life that is finally balanced. In Edith, the series gives us not perfection, but peace. And perhaps that is more powerful. Lord Grantham and Lady Cora find their resolution in reflection. Their journey has never been about wild changes, but about learning to bend without breaking. In the final chapter, they are no longer the youthful couple defending the old ways with every breath. They are parents, grandparents, watchers of history passing before them. Their love endures not with fiery speeches, but with gentle looks across dinner tables, quiet moments of understanding, and the knowledge that they have carried their family this far. Their resolution is legacy itself. Tom Branson remains the bridge between the two worlds, the Irish chauffeur who became a son of the house. In the finale, his presence is more than symbolic. He represents the very survival of the Crawleys in a world that has no patience for old hierarchies. He belongs fully, yet always reminds us of how much has changed. His happiness, his stability, and his bond with his daughter Sibby show that Downton is no longer closed and rigid. It has adapted, and in doing so, found new life. The servants too find their resolutions, though theirs come with a quieter weight. Mr. Carson, once the firm hand of tradition, now accepts his limits. He is not the unshakable figure he once was, but even in his decline, he carries pride and dignity. Mrs. Hughes stays by his side, steady and kind, proving that the heart of the Abbey has always been in the loyalty of those who served it. Anna and Bates, who endured endless trials, finally live without fear. Their happiness feels earned, not handed to them, and that makes it all the sweeter. Daisy, once shy and uncertain, now dares to imagine more for herself. She becomes a symbol of the future, proof that life below stairs was not just about service, but about hope. In the end, every resolution feels both small and grand. None of the characters rise to impossible heights, nor do they fall into tragedy. Instead, they are given something more human. They are given closure, and in that, the audience finds not only satisfaction, but a sense of farewell that lingers like the fading notes of a song. Every story knows when it must say goodbye, and Downton Abbey does so with a quiet elegance that feels almost like a whispered promise. The finale does not chase after loud surprises or twists. Instead, it chooses to give us moments that stay, moments that feel carved into memory, moments where time seems to pause just long enough for us to breathe them in. The dinner table, once the stage of countless arguments, celebrations, and whispered secrets, becomes a place of unity. Characters who have spent years apart in spirit, or even in conflict, now share looks of understanding. The clinking of silverware, the warmth of candles, the gentle rhythm of conversation, all of it becomes a final chorus, a reminder of what bound them together from the beginning. The house itself carries these beats as much as the people do. Every hallway, every staircase, every room seems alive with the ghosts of earlier years. When Mary walks through the corridors, she does not just walk into the future. She walks past the laughter of her youth, the heartbreak of her losses, the fierce battles she fought for her family. Edith's laughter feels brighter, as if it is an answer to the silence of her past. Tom's place at the table feels like proof that love and progress can build bridges where walls once stood. Below stairs, the emotions are no less powerful. Carson stands, steady but fragile, gazing at the Abbey as though it were his life's great love. Mrs. Hughes by his side speaks little because words are no longer needed. Anna holds her child, a smile breaking across her face in a way that carries all the weight of her years of struggle. Daisy dreams aloud of a life beyond the Abbey's walls, her voice clear and unafraid. Even in the smallest gestures, the finale gives these lives meaning, dignity, and grace. And then there are the quiet goodbyes that are not spoken but felt. A door closing softly, a look exchanged between husband and wife, a hand resting on another longer than usual, as though it is saying more than words ever could. These beats are not about spectacle. They are about heart. They remind us that Downton Abbey was never just a show about events. It was about people, about how fragile and strong they could be at once, about how their joys and sorrows reflected our own. The emotional peaks of the finale arrive not with shouts, but with sighs, with tears that fall softly, with the recognition that endings can be beautiful if they are honest. And in these last beats, the series does not only close the story of a house and its family, it closes the story of an era, of a way of life, and of the millions who loved watching it unfold. The emotions rise, not to overwhelm, but to cradle us in the truth that this world we entered years ago is ready to rest. It is in these beats that the heart of Downton Abbey beats for the final time. Steady, tender, unforgettable. The ending of Downton Abbey is not only about characters saying their farewells, it is about themes that have carried the story since the first frame. Themes that finally reveal their full shape in the closing chapter. At its heart, the finale is not about an ending at all. It is about continuity, about what remains when time has passed and the world has changed. The first theme is legacy. The Crawley family has always been defined by what they leave behind. The Abbey itself is more than stone and land. It is a symbol of memory, of family lines, of traditions held together across centuries. In the finale, legacy is no longer about power or wealth. It is about love passed from parent to child, about lessons carried forward, about bonds that survive even when the world outside no longer values titles or estates. Legacy, the story tells us, is not about the house. It is about the people who fill it. Another theme is change and acceptance. When we first met Lord Grantham, change was his greatest fear. Each new invention, each new idea, each shift in society felt like a threat. But by the finale, change is no longer an enemy. It is embraced, even welcomed. Mary takes up leadership not because she clings to the past, but because she is willing to carry Downton into the future. Edith lives her life without apology, no longer afraid of what others think. Even Tom, who began as a rebel against the very idea of aristocracy, now proves that change can be the force that binds a family rather than breaks it. There is also unity across class. From the beginning, Downton Abbey was not only the story of those who lived upstairs, but also those who lived below. In the finale, the lines blur more than ever. The Crawleys sit at their table with the confidence of their lineage, while the servants close their chapter with the dignity of lives well lived. The show reminds us that though the titles and uniforms may have divided them, their humanity was always the same. Carson's farewell glance at the house carries just as much weight as Grantham's. Anna's joy is just as important as Mary's. The theme is clear: dignity belongs to all. Perhaps the most tender theme is time itself. Time has always been the unseen character of Downton Abbey. We watched it carry the Crawleys through wars, deaths, marriages, and births. In the finale, time is both cruel and kind. It takes youth away. It softens tempers. It leaves loss behind. But it also brings healing, wisdom, and hope. The story shows us that time does not end things. It transforms them, and in that transformation, life finds meaning. Finally, there is the theme of goodbye. Not a goodbye filled with despair, but one filled with gratitude. The finale whispers that every ending is also a beginning, that letting go does not erase what came before. Downton Abbey closes its doors not as a relic of the past, but as a memory that will continue to live in the hearts of those who loved it. Together, these themes lift the ending beyond a simple conclusion. They turn it into something timeless, a reminder that while houses may crumble and names may fade, love, change, unity, and time are eternal. That is the true heartbeat of Downton Abbey, and that is why its ending feels less like loss and more like a gift. When the final curtain falls on a story like Downton Abbey, it is not just the characters who feel the weight of farewell. It is the audience too. For more than a decade, viewers around the world stepped into the halls of this grand house, sat at its long dinner tables, walked its staircases, and listened to the voices of its people. The closing chapter does not only mark the end of a narrative, it marks the end of a shared experience, a journey carried together by millions who found themselves in the triumphs and struggles of both lords and servants. The reflection we are left with is one of gratitude. Gratitude for the way the series captured a time of immense change and made it feel alive again. Gratitude for the way it showed us that history is not just in books, but in the everyday choices of people. And gratitude for the way it reminded us that no matter our station, our class, or our name, the things that matter most are love, duty, loyalty, and hope. Downton Abbey also stands as a cultural mirror. It gave us nostalgia for traditions that have faded, while also challenging us to see the cost of those traditions. It made us admire the beauty of elegance and etiquette, while also pulling back the curtain to show the sacrifices of those who kept it alive. The upstairs and the downstairs were never separate worlds. They were two sides of the same coin, bound together by need, by respect, and by humanity. In that truth, Downton became more than a drama. It became a lesson about empathy. The finale leaves us with images that are not easy to forget. The house standing tall against the sky, timeless and unbroken. The family gathered, no longer divided by pride, but united by understanding. The servants closing doors, finishing tasks, looking toward lives beyond the abbey. These images stay because they carry meaning beyond the screen. They remind us of our own families, our own changes, our own endings that felt like both loss and gift. And yet, the most striking reflection is how Downton Abbey itself will endure. Just as the Crawleys passed their legacy forward, so too does the story pass into the hearts of its audience. Long after the credits roll, people will still speak of Lady Mary's strength, of Edith's resilience, of Carson's pride, of Anna's kindness. They will remember the Abbey not just as stone walls and chandeliers, but as a place where humanity was laid bare in all its beauty and flaw. In the end, the closing reflection is not about saying goodbye to a television show. It is about holding on to the reminder that stories have the power to connect us across time, class, and circumstance. Downton Abbey did not simply end. It gave us something to keep. A reminder that change is inevitable, But love, loyalty, and dignity never fade. The story of Downton Abbey has reached its final bow, but its echoes linger far beyond the screen. The Abbey itself stands tall, not only in stone but in memory. Its windows have seen joy and heartbreak, its halls have carried laughter and sorrow, and now it rests quietly, like a chapter completed in a book we will never forget. For the Crawleys, for their loyal staff, and for all who loved them, this is not just the end of a story. It is the closing of an era. As viewers, we have walked alongside them. We felt the heartbreak when lives were lost. We shared in the celebrations of weddings and births. We watched the world shift around them, and we saw how they endured. Downton Abbey was never only a drama about a wealthy family. It was about resilience, about how human hearts can bend but not break, about how every goodbye holds the seeds of a new beginning. The finale leaves us with an image that stays in the mind long after the credits fade. The Abbey, proud and unshaken, holding within its walls 1,000 untold stories. It is a reminder that homes are more than buildings. They are memory. They are love. They are the echo of voices that once filled them. Just as the Crawleys move forward, so too do we, carrying with us the lessons the story has given. Now the question turns to you. What did Downton Abbey mean in your life? Did you see yourself in Mary's strength, in Edith's quiet determination, in Tom's courage to bridge two worlds, or in Anna's faith through hardship? Did you find comfort in Carson's dignity, or inspiration in Daisy's growth? How did this story of one family, one house, one chapter of history, touch your own heart? Share your thoughts. Share your memories. Share the moments that made you laugh, cry, or simply pause to reflect. This story may have ended, but it lives on through the voices of those who carry it forward. Every memory you share, every reflection you give, is another way the spirit of Downton Abbey endures. So as we close this journey, let us not think of it as a goodbye. Let us think of it as a lasting gift. A reminder that love, loyalty, and hope remain timeless. Downton Abbey may have taken its final bow, but its story belongs to all of us now.